Welcome. Yesterday we had a Become a Surrogate webinar hosted by Kristi Johnson and Amanda Baker. My name is Lauren Muscarella and I moderated the webinar yesterday. We had a slight technical difficulty with the webinar and the first slide had a little bit of trouble. So I'm going to go through the first slide with you and then I'm going to hand it back over to Kristi and Amanda. There's some really great information in this webinar, so I hope you listen all the way through. The Q&A section is great and asks some very specific, thoughtful questions. So the only slide that was missed was just the requirements slide. I'm going to go through it right now. Requirements to becoming a surrogate. First off, successful surrogate applicants have delivered a child of their own before. Preferably, you're also currently raising that child. The age requirements is 21 to 41. We also ask that you do not participate in certain government assistance programs, including cash assistance, welfare, public housing, or Section 8. We cannot accept surrogates from Washington State, Washington, D.C., Nebraska, Louisiana, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, and sometimes it's difficult to work with surrogates in Wyoming. Our body mass index can be no higher than 33, and in some cases it can be between 33 and 35. We ask that you do not use any illegal drugs, smoke cigarettes, or abuse alcohol. For women with IUDs, contraceptive implants, or those who have the Depo-Provera shot are welcome to apply but must be willing to have their IUDs removed before a transfer. We are also unable to accept women who have had the Assure procedure. Another important part of becoming a surrogate is having support, family, and friends, and that's where we're going to pick up on the webinar. Kristi Johnson will start it off. Thank you.
To expand on that, why is support at home important? We have found that the most successful and journeys for women have been the result of stability at home with a great support system. This doesn't necessarily need to be a partner if someone is single, as long as they have family or friends or coworkers that are there for them and can help out during a journey. This includes no big moves or job changes, etc., that could be stressful and hinder the legal works of surrogacy as well. Surrogacy can be very unpredictable at times, and flexibility is important for that. So, for example, switching jobs and not having PTO available or unable to take time off of work during that training period, those are things to think about before getting started with something like this. One of the requirements of a journey, like I previously mentioned, is travel. You would need to travel to the IVF clinic. It includes your medical screening appointment, which is typically an overnight trip. And then for your transfer, that averages about 4 days, including travel time. During the transfer trip, you will need a travel companion to go with you, and child care. That includes overnight care, as you're not allowed to bring your children on that trip. So that's something to think about in looking for child care options, whether it's your spouse stays at home and you just have daycare during the day, and then your partner or family member is able to care for them in the evenings, and your travel companion is a sibling or a coworker of yours. So those things, we are flexible on who you bring with you. But you do need someone on that trip, and it is a longer trip, so something to think about and plan ahead for. Circle also provides a lot of support along your journey. You would have your own program coordinator that they kind of facilitate the journey between the surrogate and her IPs. So they do a lot of work for you, and they're there for you. If you have any questions or concerns about anything, you have that program coordinator that you can reach out to at any time. You will also have your own social work support. They will check in with you monthly. If you have anything that you need, you can certainly go to that social worker as well. We have a private Facebook group, so once you're matched with IPs, you would be invited to join that group, and it's a great place that women connect, with other carriers, and then also previous carriers of ours to answer questions kind of on a more personal platform there. And I think just in general, everyone at Circle is very committed to their work, and it just feels like family.
So payment and perks. A huge benefit to being a surrogate, obviously, is the financial compensation that you receive. It really can help your family, and and the parents generally really, this is really the only way they can say thank you for being able to do this for them. So surrogates receive a really competitive compensation package for being a circle surrogate. How it's determined is our base fee is $30,000 depending on your insurance. And then that's just the base fee. In addition to that, we also offer a medical screening fee. So once you fly out, you have your medical screening appointment, which the medical screening appointment usually consists of blood work and an ultrasound and urine testing. Once you complete that, you get a $500 fee. Obviously, travel expenses are covered, and we also give you $100 a day for like a food allowance. We also pay your travel expenses of your companion to go with you. Every embryo transfer that you go through, hopefully it works the first time, but if you do need to go through one or two, every transfer you get a $750 fee. You get bed rest. If you carry twins, then you might need to be put on bed rest. Your doctor says you need to take it easy. We do offer lost wages if you work outside the home, or child care and housekeeping services if you're a stay-at-home mom. We also offer child care. Now this can be a friend or family member as well. It doesn't need to be like a licensed daycare center, because obviously stay-at-home moms generally don't always take their children to a daycare center. But if you need to have someone watch your children, so you can, if you are on bed rest or you do have an appointment or something, we are able to cover your child care expenses. We do offer maternity clothing allowance. You get this at about 12 weeks. When you're about 12 weeks pregnant, it's $500 for a single baby, or if you're carrying twins, we offer $750. If you do become pregnant with multiples, it's an additional $5,000, and that's on top of your base fee. The counseling fee is $3,500. That is, you do receive services throughout the pregnancy just to make sure you're doing okay and you're handling everything really well. Most of our surrogates do just great. They do fine, but we also offer that. If for some reason there is a severe problem with the baby, they have a fee that if their intended parents ask you to like reduce the pregnancy, or if you have any problems with that, that's the fee. Invasive procedures fee would be $500. That is if you have to have an amniocentesis or something like that. If they cancel your cycle, so what happens sometimes when you're working with couples is you start the IVF process, you've already started your medications, which includes injections, you're giving yourself shots or someone's giving you shots. Once you've started that process, if for some reason they have to cancel the embryo transfer, that's a $500 fee, because we really, they would hate for you to have started all those medications and then just have to stop them and not go through with the embryo transfer. There's also a C-section fee. If for some reason you end up with a C-section, either you've had one previously and you're going to have one again, or there's an emergency, or you're carrying multiples and your doctor, feels it'd be best for you to have a C-section, that's an additional $2,500. We also offer post-birth recovery wages. So, when you're taking your time off work to recover after having this baby, we do offer compensation for that. And then the end of pregnancy, we have a really nice benefit. I know that I didn't want to clean my house when I was hugely pregnant, but we offer housekeeping stipends. So you do get an allowance to have someone come in and help you, take care of your home toward the end of your pregnancy as a surrogate. So it's a really good program. The payments start as soon as you become pregnant. So obviously, you do have things ahead of time, like your transfer fee, your medical screening fee, things like that. But your actual base compensation starts once you become pregnant, once that pregnancy is confirmed with a heartbeat at an ultrasound appointment, usually about 6-7 weeks pregnant. That's when that starts, and it's spread out over the course of your pregnancy. So it's divided into, I believe it's 10 equal monthly payments that we send you throughout the pregnancy. So it's not like at the very end you deliver the baby and then they give you a check. It's you're compensated throughout the entire pregnancy.
I can't help but laugh.
Do you want to talk about your cute prego belly with twins?
Yeah,
carried twins.
My twin belly a few weeks before I delivered the twins. They came a little early, but I guess I was probably around 30 or 31 weeks pregnant with twins here. And that's my husband photobombing. So we were sending some pictures to my IPs, and he was just being goofy. So I will talk, Lauren, if you want to skip to the next slide. I will kind of go over my journey as a surrogate. This is again, me pregnant with the twins, and my kids at the time were 5 and 2. So my son kind of knew what was going on during the pregnancy, understood that I was pregnant, and we included him on some of the Skype calls with the intended fathers, and my daughter, I think, probably thought I was just morbidly obese. So I matched with an international same-sex male couple. When we first Skyped, I just felt really intrigued by them and at ease. Everything went really smoothly. I connected right from the start with them, and we were all really excited to move forward. They were working with a clinic in Los Angeles, so that's where we went for the medical screening and then the transfer. I also had a really incredible experience with the IVF doctor and staff there too. They were really amazing. They used the same egg donor, and they each contributed biology, and then we transferred the strongest embryo of each of theirs. So they each have a biological baby, and then the same egg donor, so same biological mother. They both took the first time, and I delivered their twin boys in 2014. We still have a wonderful relationship. They update me all the time. Even just before this, they were sending me some pictures and videos of the boys. So we're still in contact, and it was overall just a really enriching experience for me, even learning, about different cultural differences between us and what's the same and what's different. So that was always an interesting topic for us to talk about, just kind of learning more about a culture that's not my own. So I got to be a part of something much bigger than myself, and I learned a lot from it. And I look forward to sharing this experience more with my children the older they get and, understand the process. It's just something that I look forward to and teaching them, what makes a family. And so it really was such a great experience for myself that it truly does change you.
So I worked with a single dad from Stockholm, Sweden. We transferred in 2011, and I in 12. I had 4 children of my own previously, and then did my surrogacy journey. My children, they were 14, 11. Let's see, my youngest was 2, so they were pretty. They were all pretty little. But I did have, one older daughter. But I also had a great experience. Our first embryo transfer did not work, and the second one did, and I got pregnant with a single little girl. I also had my embryo transfer in Los Angeles. I loved the clinic that I worked with. They were wonderful. They took great care of me, and they took really good care of my intended father that I worked with. He had a lot of questions, and he was a little bit nervous about everything, and they were really great with him. She weighed 7.5 pounds. It was a great delivery. It was really special to be able to have him in there and us be able to, give him his baby. It was a very emotional moment. I also still get pictures, emails. I get a lot of information from him. I mean, we still keep in touch a lot. I don't talk to them as much. Sometimes we Skype, but for the most part, I do get a lot of pictures and emails. She's 4.5 now, so it's crazy to think that she's so big. But I also had a really amazing experience. So it was really neat. One funny story that came out of me being a surrogate is whenever my children find out that a friend of mine is pregnant, or I know someone that's pregnant, the first question they always ask is, "Oh, is the baby hers?" So they always want to know if the baby's hers rather than if it's a surrogate pregnant. It's well, only the daughter of a surrogate would ask that question, because no one would think to ask, "Oh, is it her baby that she's pregnant with?" So they usually ask that, so it kind of makes me laugh every time, because only the child of a surrogate would think that. So I had a great experience as well.
Part of a journey is, of course, there's a lot of legal work involved. We do have attorneys that work for Circle that specialize in family law. Each surrogate is assigned her own attorney separate from her IP's attorney, so there's no conflict of interest. The legal fees are, of course, still paid for by the IPs. Once you match with your IPs, the attorneys will start drafting your contracts, and then you will have a call with your attorney. It's kind of a lengthy one, and you will go over the contract in its entirety, so you know everything that is in it, and if you need to make any adjustments, it's needed before signing it as well. So you know everything line by line that is in that contract before you sign it.
So overview. The best place to find out if you're a good candidate for surrogacy would actually just be on go online and apply. The questionnaire takes about 15 to 20 minutes. It's pretty extensive, and we ask that you answer every single question on the application. That way when we go through, we know if you're a good applicant. It's best to, if you are healthy, if you are not currently breastfeeding, if you're not currently pregnant, those types of things can delay you. Most of our intended parents really would like to start the process right away. So once you're matched, you usually become pregnant within 3 to 4 months. You actually would have your first embryo transfer. So a lot of times they're excited. They really want to get moving. They've usually waited a long time to be able to do this. So once you go on and apply, that will give you an idea of like the questions that it asks. It just asks about where you live, where you work, your medical history, your pregnancy history, things like that. What is needed in order to do surrogacy is we will need a copy of your medical records. We request those for you. That is not something that you need to request on your own unless you want to. We have a medical records coordinator. Her job is to get your OB records and your delivery records from the hospital and the OB that you had your baby with, or the nurse midwife. So we're able to request your records for you. We also do a full background check. So you'll fill out a form giving us permission to run a full background check on you and anybody over the age of 18 that lives in your home, be it your spouse, your partner, your mother-in-law, whoever that lives in your home, anybody over the age of 18 would need to have a full background check. So if you go online and apply, then I will get your application and we review it, and then I assign it to one of our outreach coordinators like Kristi. All of our outreach coordinators are previous surrogates, and myself as well. So we're a great resource. We've been there. We've been through it. We know what it's like. One of our outreach coordinators is actually currently a surrogate right now. Again, she's in the middle of her second journey. So we understand what this process looks like on a very personal level. And then once you go online and apply, if you apply on the weekend, because we do get a lot of applications on the weekend, it can take a couple of days for us to get back to you, simply because we get so many applications. We get hundreds and hundreds a month. So sometimes it takes a couple of days for us to get back to you, but generally you will hear from us within 24 to 48 hours, so a day or two. We will send you an email with like your next steps, if you qualify, if maybe some of the things that we may still need from you, but you will hear back from us within a day or two. So yeah, if you're interested, I definitely encourage you to go online and apply. If you have any questions, you can email me, or if you go online on our website, there's a link where you can email us with questions that you may have to find out if you are a good candidate. Also, I know that you can ask questions here on this webinar, and then we'll be able to answer those at the end. So that's the overview of the process.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, we did. We got in a couple of questions, so we're going to start with the questions that we have. But for people who are listening, if you want to type in your questions, we'll try to get to as many as we can. We got a couple technical questions. One was, can you still apply to be a surrogate if you are adopted? Amanda, that might...
Yes, because we're... Yeah, I actually was adopted. You can apply to be a surrogate if you're adopted, because we do not need we don't use your biology as a surrogate. So the intended parents use their own biology, so their own eggs and sperm, or they use their own sperm and an egg donor. So your family history as far as genetics are not important. What's more important is that you are currently healthy and that you've had healthy pregnancies and deliveries.
Great. Someone asked, what is the relationship-based model? Because that was listed on one of the slides.
So the relationship-based model is really just referring to circles, putting a lot of emphasis on that relationship between the intended parents and the surrogate. So, we really encourage you to build that relationship with them and stay in contact like we are and receives pictures at least annually. And we encourage a weekly update during your journey. As soon as you match, we encourage you to either Skype or email or Facebook message, whatever is easiest for everyone. We understand, people might be on different time zones and have obviously their own families that they're taking care of. So we understand that everyone is busy, but we do want that relationship being built between the intended parents and the surrogate.
Great. We got a question. This is relevant more because of what's in the news lately. Are there any travel restrictions while being a surrogate?
Yes. There are travel restrictions. Yeah. I'll let Kristi go ahead and answer this one.
With the Zika virus outbreaks that I'm sure many of you have heard about, there's definitely concerns about women traveling to certain affected areas in the Caribbean, such as Brazil, or any kind of tropical locations that have seen an outbreak of the virus. So that's something that we're kind of learning, as things develop. But that's definitely a concern. And then once you're in your third trimester, just stateside concerns as well for you traveling to any states that we are unable to work with. So, if you were to deliver in that state, that would be a legal problem. So there are restrictions for that as well. Clearly, the intended parents don't want their surrogates traveling internationally pregnant and, if things happen. So I think it kind of pulls back to being in that kind of stable, almost in what we would call kind of like a boring time in your life. So, just that you don't really have major travel plans coming up, that would overlap your journey. Amanda, I don't know if that answered everything. If you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, and I think it's just always best if you wouldn't want to travel outside the country while you're pregnant with a surrogacy. There just can be, at risk. There's just things that you need to consider. But yeah, there are certain states that we absolutely would not want you to deliver in. And also, yeah, with like Kristi said, with the outbreak of the virus, the guidelines are changing. Because as we learn more from the CDC and our physicians give us new guidelines that we need to follow. So things are sort of changing with that. However, yeah, we would probably ask you not to travel outside the country, and especially to any affected areas with the Zika virus right now while you're pregnant with a surrogacy journey. Also, you want to, when you plan your travel plans, you want to think ahead. If you're going to be delivering a baby, this process can take, a year or more. So if you, from the time you become pregnant, the time you deliver, to the time you get through everything. So if you're planning on taking a cruise next summer, you're going to want to think about that. Well, I could possibly be very, very pregnant, or I could possibly be just delivering a baby, or, there's a lot to consider when you do travel. So if you do have any big travel plans coming up, you definitely want to let us know, but you also want to see if this is a good time in your life to be a surrogate, because like you are planning to taking like a 10-day European trip, you don't want to do that when you're, 36 weeks pregnant with a surrogacy baby. So it's definitely something to consider.
Even to add to that too, if you're thinking of time off of work, where this could take your, a trip like that could use up all your PTO, and then you don't have time, and maybe you are going to have an upcoming transfer after that, and then you aren't able to take that time off of work as well.
Great. Amanda, this question might be good for you. Are there any additional legal concerns or complications when dealing with a foreign intended parent?
Say that one more time. It cut out just a little bit. Are there any additional what?
Are there any additional legal?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Are there any additional legal concerns when dealing with a foreign intended parent for the surrogate?
There's a lot of legal, so part of the legal things that you need to consider legally is if you're in the process of a divorce or separation, you can't become a surrogate, because legally it's extremely important that your marital status not change during a surrogacy journey, because your contracts would change dramatically. There's a lot to consider legally. So you want to make sure that, and depending on the state that you live in, they have different surrogacy laws. So when I delivered my surrogacy baby, because I'm from Utah, I lived in Utah, and I had to match with either a single parent or a legally married parent. So it was very there's, certain states have certain laws that you have to consider. When we are looking at potential matches for you, obviously we take into consideration where you live. You get to choose who you would like to match with. Like, we send you one profile at a time to review, and you see if you would feel like they would be a good fit for you. But we would only send you profiles that legally would work for you. Certain states, such as California, Massachusetts, their laws are different than states such as maybe like Colorado, Indiana, or Utah. So it sort of depends on where you live. There's a lot of legal things to consider, but yeah, you want to be, in a stable, healthy relationship. You don't want your marital status to change during the course of a journey. So you want to wait till your divorce is actually final before you apply, or close to being final before you apply. Things such as that. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I think it did. I think the big thing too
Okay.
is that we'll match any surrogate based on their specifications. We had another question. I think both of you can answer.
Definitely.
Yeah, both of you can answer this one. My biggest concerns are the shots. Are they really that bad?
Well, they're not pleasant, honestly. I mean, they're not that bad, or I don't think anybody would do this, and they definitely wouldn't do it more than once.
Sure.
And a lot of our surrogates come back and do it again. Like, most of our surrogates, sign up and would like to come back and do it again. They're not awful, but they're not great. I mean, I'll be honest. The progesterone and oil is the one that everybody's afraid of, because it's kind of a big shot. It's a little thicker, and it's I think it's either every day or every other day. I don't remember, Kristi, do you?
Yeah.
But either way, it's they're not awful. I mean, they're not awesome, but they're not awful, I guess, is probably how I would describe it.
And each IVF clinic doctors are different. They have different protocol, but typically a few weeks before your transfer, you would start on every third day would be an estrogen injection. And then when you get closer to your transfer, I think about a week or so, at least for my clinic that I worked
5 days.
We started the daily progesterone and then stayed on the every third day estrogen. And then after the transfer, I continued on my daily progesterone injections until I was 10 weeks. And that it sounds like a lot, but it also helps you to not miscarry, and you don't want to start all over. So at that point, after my transfer, I felt a lot more at ease for doing it, and it just becomes a habit. And every evening my husband would do it. I was unable to do it myself, or just prefer not to, I guess. But there's the other outreach coordinator who is in her second journey now. She is able to give them to herself. So it's, some people need someone to help them with it. Others do it themselves. So that's another reason why they want a travel companion with you on your transfer trip as well, to have someone give your injections. Because I know our other outreach coordinator, when she did her journeys, she said she was not able to do that herself, and was really glad that she had her husband there to do them.
Great.
Yeah, my husband wouldn't touch it. He was terrified. So I did some of them on my own. I didn't. It takes, like, it's really, you have to get over that. Like, sometimes if you don't have anybody that can give them to you every day, like on a daily basis, you have to kind of learn to do it on your own. I did both. I had people give them to me, and then I did some on my own. It's not awful, but yeah, it's not too bad.
Great. We had a couple questions over the same topic. How does breastfeeding work with surrogacy? Do some intended parents compensate surrogates for providing breast milk? I don't know. Hello? Kristi? Hello?
Yes, they do. You receive, is it $200 a week for pumping breast milk? Okay.
What, Lauren?
Yeah, sorry, we seemed like we had a little bad connection for a second.
No. Okay. That's okay. Yes, as Kristi said, I think it's $200 a week. They do compensate you for your time if you are going to pump for them. A lot of some of our intended parents will ask their surrogate to pump breast milk for them. Obviously, if they're from Israel and they're going to be flying home a few weeks after they have the baby, that may not be something that is possible. But surrogates are always welcome to pump and then donate their milk to, like, a milk bank. There's a lot of places who will compensate them for their time and their milk for doing that, or you can just donate it to certain milk banks. But some of our intended parents do ask their surrogate to pump for them if it's something that's going to work, and they are compensated for all of their supplies, their pump, and their time.
But just to add to that too, our surrogates do not directly breastfeed the baby or the babies. This is all pumped milk. So that would be something that you can discuss in your contracts if you and the intended parents both want to or are open to pumping breast milk.
Great. We had one question about compensation. Do the surrogates receive a 1099?
No, we do not 1099 our surrogates. We do let you know, if it's something that you're concerned about, we ask that you talk to your tax advisor on it. But Circle does not issue a 1099 form to surrogates.
And this is due to the wording in your contract that protects the carrier, and the income that you receive from a surrogacy is considered in the contract reimbursement for living expenses. So they will kind of have you itemize what your rent or mortgage is, your groceries, any cost of living expenses. And so that's how you are considered reimbursed for living expenses, and that's where that income is coming from.
Great. We have one. I think we have time for one more question. One person on the call asked how long she should wait before applying if she's currently breastfeeding.
I would wait until you're in the process of weaning. So before you start any IVF medications, you want to be completely weaned. So I would wait until you start the process of weaning with your child. Obviously, I know that can take a long time. It can take, just a few weeks, or it can take a few months, depending on the age of your child. I have, babies of my own, so I understand. But we do prefer that you wait until you're actively starting to wean your baby before you apply. That way, by the time you fly out to your medical screening, most likely you've completely weaned, and you'll be able to start your medications.
Great. You guys did an awesome job of answering all of the questions. I think we're about out of time. We want to thank everybody so much for being on the call. Thank you, Kristi and Amanda, for taking us through the process and sharing your personal experiences with us.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.